Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano. It is Friday, July the 12th. Ian Cameron, this is another pre-recorded version of the show today. Live episode will return on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Put it this way, with this show, the live shows will be at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and obviously if the show is pre-recorded as it was yesterday and as it is today, the show could be posted anytime on the channel, but there will be a show, bottom line, though, Monday to Friday, moving forward each and every day. Great day yesterday. 10-1 in all sports yesterday. MLB and CFL combined. 2-0 sweep with the CFL game last night. Toronto Argonauts plus 8.5. A wire-to-wire point spread cover there, winning outright. And then, of course, in the over as well in that game, cashing in. And then in Major League Baseball, 7-1 result for me 8-1 rather in MLB last night. An absolutely outstanding MLB result for me yesterday. Of course, on the show we had Houston team total over 4.5 as the best bet. So just an incredible day and a great segue into signing up for a subscription at Dub Club. This is the time to do it. I have been in an incredible zone here in MLB here in July, to the point where, look, I've turned a negative overall season result in MLB. I was minus units prior to the month of July starting in Major League Baseball. I'm now back in the green again, or the black, if you will, plus units on the season once again in MLB, thanks to this tremendous run here in the early part of July in baseball. 8-1 in MLB yesterday. So it's been a great run. CFL is profitable as well to begin the season. 2-0 sweep last night with the Toronto-Montreal game. So it's a great time to get on board, not just for MLB, CFL, and UFC right now, but for NFL and college football coming up, where last year, plus 11.2 units of profit in NFL, plus 11 units of profit in college football. The two combined, plus 22.2 units of profit, and that includes the futures that we had. We had Michigan to win the national championship. It was actually a beautiful situation for me with that college football national championship last year, where two of my futures bets preseason were Michigan and Washington to win the national title. And sure enough, they were the teams that faced off against one another in the national championship game. So we were cashing a futures ticket regardless of the result in that title game. But it was a great NFL and college season last year, and it was a great NFL and college season 2 years ago as well. So 6 months all sports discount is currently available, and this discount offer is going to be around until the first day of college football. So that Saturday, August 24th, this offer is going to be pretty much good until that very first day of the college football season, although I might extend it to the end of August. I haven't made up my mind, but you will at least have this offer valid through the first day of the college football season, Saturday, August 24th. So you have over a month still to sign up, subscribe, and take advantage of this. And again, it's a 6 months all sports subscription, normally priced at $400 US and discounted to $250 US right now. So that's $150 off the regular price. And of course, it'll cover you right through till January for the next 6 months in all sports, not only currently with CFL, MLB, UFC, but obviously the entire NFL regular season, the college football season, the beginning of the NHL hockey season, NBA season, college basketball season. All of that would be included in your 6 months all sports subscription. So make sure you take advantage of this. It's a tremendous savings, tremendous discount. You're getting obviously a high volume card on a daily basis from yours truly. Everybody knows I'm a high volume bettor, a lot of plays on a daily basis, and we look to grind out profit. Selectivity has not treated me well in the past. That's why I'm a high volume bettor. I try to get cute. And when I've done that, to try to get cute and try to keep it to 2 or 3 bets, that's sometimes where, I get into trouble. And then sometimes the bets you don't make, they end up winning. So that's why I've gone to the high volume approach and style over the last several years. And it's worked very well for me. It's worked best for me And that's what you will get, obviously, at Dub Club. So, again, take advantage of it. 6 months all sports, down to $250 US. Dubclub.win/r/Bobano. If you follow me on Twitter, X at Bobano Bets, all the links are posted there, including the discount link for this 6 months all sports discount. So get on board right now. It's a perfect time to do it. Again, dubclub.win/r/Bobano. We're having a great month of July. Make sure you get on board. And again, we're talking $250 for 6 months. That's a half a year of all sports coverage for just $250. You're not going to find very many, if any, sports betting subscription services anywhere giving you that kind of price for that extended period of time. So take advantage of it. $250 US, 6 months all sports discount. Dubclub.win/r/Bobano. Again, great opportunity. I always lower the price of the long-term subscriptions when we enter football season. And by the way, you will also, obviously, if you subscribe to this, you will have access to my NFL and college football season win totals and futures betting report. That's an annual publication by me, and that one will be posted by August the 1st. Thursday, August 1st is when I will have that done, ready, and sent out. Looking forward to it. I've got a lot of good season win totals that I've circled and will be pulling the trigger on and releasing on August the 1st. Futures as well. Not only conference futures and division futures and national championship futures in college football, division futures, conference futures, and Super Bowl futures in the NFL. But we're also going to look at the awards markets in both sports, and see if we can find some bets worth making in those. So obviously it will be a full report. That is part of the 6 months all sports subscription as well, if you take advantage of that discount. So again, $250, 6 months, all sports discount. Take advantage of it. The offer's valid through until at least August the 24th. So again, take advantage of it. Sign up at dubclub.win/r/Bobano. All right, let's get into the Friday MLB card, which is going to be our focus here on this edition of the show. We will begin with the LA Dodgers, it is the LA Dodgers Oakland, Philadelphia first on the radar here. Hogan Harris, Ranger Suarez, the pitching matchup. We've got Philadelphia minus 260 home favorites. The total 9, 8.5, depending on where you look. Hogan Harris has been, pretty much a picture of consistency for the Oakland Athletics. The lefty has given up 3 runs or less in 5 straight starts. Unfortunately, the A's are only 1-4 in those 5 starts, but that's probably more of a product of, the bullpen struggling, probably more a product of obviously the offense not always clicking. We'll see how he fares here in this matchup against the Phillies. Obviously, when it comes to this Philadelphia Phillies lineup, when you look at their proficiency against lefties, they've been pretty good. 277 batting average against lefties, so they do match up well against Harris. Harris has pitched solid, but this is going to be a difficult lineup, difficult ballpark. We'll see how he fares. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, after a pretty strong start to the year, we've got Ranger Suarez for Philadelphia, who's really struggled here all of a sudden the last few starts. Going back to his last 3 starts, he gave up 4 runs, 8 hits, 6 innings against Detroit, 6 runs on 10 hits and 4.2 innings against Miami. And that was in Philadelphia, where, historically, this guy has pitched very well here in his home ballpark. But he did not pitch well in that game against Miami. Against Atlanta, he got roughed up as well in his last start. 5 runs, 6 hits in 5 innings in that game. We'll see how he fares. Can he bounce back here in this game against the Athletics? That remains to be seen. All of a sudden, last 5 to 10 games, look at what the A's are suddenly doing against left-handed pitching. And obviously they face one here in Ranger Suarez. 324 batting average for this team. 477 on base percentage versus lefties for the A's in their last 10 games. So, a very warm night in Philly. I think you can make a case for over 8.5, and there are still a few 8.5s out there. Bet Online, Bookmaker, a couple other shops still have 8.5 with this total. Phillies are a dangerous lineup, even though Hogan Harris has been solid. facing this Philadelphia lineup that continues to just mash the ball. Just ask the Dodgers, who gave up 19 runs in 3 games to this Phillies lineup. I would go over the total here if I had to make a bet here with Oakland and Philadelphia. The one concern would be Suarez. Prior to that bad outing against Miami at Citizens Bank Park a couple starts ago, prior to that, he's been very, very good at home. And this is Oakland. Maybe he shuts them down. It's always the worry. But, Miami is not a great lineup. And Miami here in Philly got to Suarez for 6 runs in 4.2 innings. So, and to Oakland's credit, they did get shut out by Boston yesterday. But you look at this Oakland team and, they have, for the most part in their last 9 games, 7-5-5. Then they had one where they only scored 2, but then they scored 19 against Baltimore, 3-9-5, and then they're for the most part they're getting to 3, 4, 5 runs in the majority of their last 9 games. So I think the over can get there here with this A's and Phillies matchup. All right, we got the Dodgers and the Tigers next up. James Paxton and Tariq Skubal on the mound. Another battle of lefties here. Detroit minus 150, home favorites, 8 the total, shaded to the under. Detroit's favorite for a reason. I grabbed a piece of Detroit. I've backed Skubal almost every time he's been starting this year. He's been very good to me. Cashed a ticket with him in his last start against Cincinnati, and he was utterly dominant in that game. 13 strikeouts, 1 run, 3 hits, 7 innings against the Reds. Completely shut them down. Dodgers have not faced Tariq Skubal in the past either. Not a big fan of James Paxton. He pitched okay against the Brewers in his last start, but before that, absolutely destroyed by the San Francisco Giants. See how he fares here in this one. When you look at these two teams against lefties, it's kind of weird with Detroit, where they've averaged 5.4 runs per game, but 211 is the average. I did take Detroit here, minus 146. I think it was minus 144 when I bet it. Minus 144, the price. It's as high as minus 150. It's one of those deals where, look, obviously the Tigers are 4 games below 500 and the Dodgers are 55-39. But the Tigers are favored here for a reason. Skubal is definitely an advantage in the starting pitching matchup against over Paxton in this game. And don't look now, Detroit is 7-3 in their last 10 games and 6-1 in their last 7 games. So they're starting to play good ball. They're favored here for a reason. And I think they can get the job done. So I do like Detroit, even though you look at the price on the surface and you say, wow, great value. And it is great value with the Dodgers. I just don't think they're winning this game. And I think there's a very good reason why we see the Tigers as not just favorites, but moderate favorites, as they are here in this game tonight. All right. Next up, as we continue along, Cleveland and Tampa Bay. Carlos Carrasco, Taj Bradley, the matchup here pitching-wise. Tampa Bay minus 135, home favorites, 7.5 the total in this game. Obviously, Tampa Bay pretty good to me over the last few days. More so a fade of the New York Yankees, but they got it done for me. It was a 3-0 sweep in this Yankees-Rays game last night alone. I had the Rays money line, I had Rays team total over, and I had the full game over 8. All 3 of them cashed in that 5-4 victory for the Tampa Bay Rays last night over the New York Yankees. We'll see if they can build off that. They took 2 of 3 in that series. Meanwhile, Cleveland dropped 3 of 4 at Detroit earlier this week. So, they'll be looking to bounce back a little bit from this. And Carlos Carrasco, after a pretty rough start to the season, he's pitched a little bit better here for Cleveland. He's given up 3 runs or less in 4 straight starts for the Guardians. Bradley, though, has been pretty solid as well. 2 runs or less in 5 straight starts. Tampa Bay is 4-1 in the last 5 starts with Taj Bradley on the mound. So they've been winning with him as well. Yeah, and you look at the final scores, too. All 5 of each of Bradley's last 5 starts, all of them, 7 runs or less as far as total runs scored in the game. So this could be an under here with these two teams. Maybe a first 5 under. That Tampa bullpen is still a little spotty. They almost, coughed up the game last night against the Yankees. The Cleveland bullpen certainly has an advantage in the latter innings. Although the Cleveland bullpen, even by their standards, they've been a little bit more hittable, I guess you could say, lately. Because you actually look at the last 10 games, and both teams, their bullpen is 4.34 for Cleveland, 4.32 for Tampa Bay. Full season numbers certainly advantage Cleveland, but Cleveland's bullpen hasn't been as sharp lately. So I think if you like the under, you keep it to the first 5, and try to rely on these starters here more than anything else. All right, we continue along here with the Friday slate. Yankees and Orioles, huge series this weekend right before the All-Star break as these two teams battle for supremacy in the AL East. We've got Garrett Cole for the Yankees, minus 125 road favorites against Cade Povich, rather, for the Baltimore Orioles. 9 the total here in this game. You look at Garrett Cole, he's kind of had an up and down showing since his return. Good start against Baltimore at Yankee. Well, I didn't even call that a good start on June 19th. He only went 4 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits. It wasn't great. Then he got crushed by the Mets, 6 runs, 7 hits, 4 innings. He bounced back and shut down the Blue Jays in 5 innings, and then kind of struggled again last start against the Red Sox, 4 runs, 7 hits, 4.1 innings. So what will you get here from Garrett Cole in this matchup? Cade Povich was welcome to his rookie moment, if you will, against Oakland. He was knocked out of the game after just 1 inning, 8 runs, 5 hits, 2 home runs, 4 home runs allowed by Povich now in the last 2 starts. So he's really struggled here all of a sudden the last couple. But this Yankees team continues to be, let's put it this way, they haven't been swinging the bat extremely great during this losing streak. They've really struggled. How about against lefties? 2.5 runs per game, 203 batting average in the last 10 games against lefties. And overall, their numbers against lefties for the season have just not been very good. Meanwhile, Baltimore against righties, not great, but certainly better than what the Yankees have done against lefties. We've been fading the Yankees. We did so again last night successfully. I'm going back to the well here with Baltimore and continuing to fade the New York, especially when they're road favorites here. They're only road favorites because Garrett Cole's on the mound. There's no way you would have Baltimore a home underdog here if Garrett Cole wasn't pitching for the New York Yankees. So to me, the value's on their side. They actually are coming off a rough series of their own against the Chicago Cubs, but you got them now as a home underdog, maybe a little bit better price after a rough series against the Cubbies. Yankees just struggling mightily the last several weeks. I have no issues taking Baltimore here as a home underdog, plus 110 to plus 112, and even in some spots with the Orioles here in this game. All right, next up as we continue along here, we've got the Colorado Rockies and the New York Mets. Tanner Gordon, Sean Manaea, the pitching matchup here. The Mets minus 280 home favorites, 8.5 being the total in this game. We'll see how Tanner Gordon fares, but July 7th, first start, 5 runs, 8 hits, 6.1 innings, not very good. Manaea all of a sudden has been tremendous for the Mets. 3-0 are the Mets in his last 3 starts. He's given up 1 earned run in his last 18 innings. He's pitched extremely well here all of a sudden for the New York Mets. We'll see if he can continue that here tonight against the Rockies, who are hitting a paltry 203 against lefties. It's one of those games I'm passing on it. Maybe a Mets team total. They have been going over their team total quite a bit. In fact, 5.5, not a bargain for the Mets with their team total, but they got over 5.5 runs in all 3 games in their series sweep over Washington prior to this series. So that would be the play for me. If I were to get involved in something here, it would probably be the Mets team total over 5.5. The team collectively is swinging hot bats right now. Gordon was not overly impressive in his first start of the season for the Rockies against Kansas City. So I think it could be a game where the Mets can get to 6 here. All right, Miami and Cincinnati. Next up, we've got, I believe it's a Yanni Chirinos, Honey Nut Chirinos, as I like to say, on the mound here for the Marlins. Carson Spears here for the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati minus 175 to minus 180. Home favorites, 9 being the total here in this game. The Reds took 2 of 3 from the Rockies at home earlier this week. They'll look to build on that. Miami swept by the Houston Astros, just 2-8 in their last 10 games. And Yanni Honey Nut Chirinos here for the Miami Marlins. He's given up 3 runs or less in 4 straight starts coming into this out. He actually hasn't pitched that bad in a starting role here for the Miami Marlins. Carson Spears here for the Spires, I believe, actually is how you say it. Carson Spires here for the Cincinnati Reds. Um, 4 starts, couple good, couple not so good. We'll see how he fares here against Miami. I'd certainly give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd honestly lean to Cincy -1 full game run line. If I had to make a bet here, I don't know if I love Spires that much. Um, but I know I don't want to take Miami here on the road, and the Reds are, starting to get some wins together, putting some good performances together, entering this start. The Marlins remain a putrid 14-30 on the road as well, just absolutely dreadful. So I don't know if I'm betting it. It's a pass for now, but I'll throw out a lean there. Cincinnati -1 full game run line here in this game. All right, next on the slate, Kansas City and Boston. We've got Cole Reagans on the mound for the Royals. TBD for Boston, so we can't get into too much detail. We don't exactly know who's going to be starting here for the Red Sox, but we have the Royals, slight road favorites here at Fenway, and the total 9.5 in this game. I still think, regardless of who's on the mound, because obviously it's probably going to be a bullpen day here for the Red Sox tonight. It looks like Cooper Criswell actually is probably going to get the start. 4.15 ERA. His number's not great. The one thing that concerns me for Boston here is they do strike out quite a bit, and Cole Reagans, the lefty for the Royals, is a strikeout pitcher. So this could be a little bit of a tricky night for the Red Sox lineup. I would definitely still lean to Kansas City. The one concern would be Kansas City had to play a doubleheader day-night yesterday with the St. Louis Cardinals. So, how fresh are they going to be? How fresh is that bullpen going to be? Actually, sorry, that was 2 days ago. They played the doubleheader. It was July 10th. They had an off day yesterday, so that makes all the difference in the world. All the key relievers should be available for Kansas City tonight. I think they're worth a look here. Kansas City in this game over the Boston Red Sox. Even though Boston's 8-2 in their last 10 games, I still like what I'm seeing from the Royals. They're hitting the ball quite well. Reagans has been solid. Reagans also shut down this Boston team the one time he faced them last August. 1 run in 6.2 innings. He pitched a gem against the Red Sox last year. So I would look to Kansas City here, small road favorites in this game. All right, we continue along here on this busy Friday night slate. We've got Washington and Milwaukee, Nats and Brewers, Rutledge versus Peralta. We've got Milwaukee -260, home favorites, 8 the total here in this game. Jackson Rutledge getting the start here for the Washington Nationals. His first start of the season. He did get a few starts for them last year in 2023. Kind of all over the map. He had a couple rough outings and a couple of pretty good outings this year. He's only pitched 1 inning here with the big club and given up, it looks like, let me just see here. Gave up 1 run, 2 hits in that 1 inning. So not a big sample size here for Jackson Rutledge for the Nationals. He'll be getting the starting assignment here against Freddie Peralta, who has pitched pretty solid for the most part. Labored a bit with the Dodgers in his last start, but before that he had given up 2 runs or less in 3 consecutive starts. His home ERA actually is 4.2. It's not as good for him here at Milwaukee as he's been in the past. So can Washington take advantage of that, though? This is a Nationals lineup that's pretty much gone in the tank. They're on a 5-game losing streak, Washington, and they scored 3 runs or less 4 of those 5 losses. So all of a sudden, this lineup is starting to go in the tank a little bit. That would concern you against a pitcher of what could be Peralta's caliber, because we know he hasn't been nearly as sharp this year. But, I look at this game, and Rutledge, who knows what you're going to get from him. And the one thing we do know about this Nationals team is that the bullpen has never been good. And you look at the last 10 games, this is a 6.17 bullpen ERA for the Washington Nationals entering this game here tonight. So, the Milwaukee team total over 4.5. I think if I were to bet something in this game, that's probably it. I'd probably look in that direction. The full game over did appeal to me a little bit, but I don't know if I can trust the Nationals. I had the full game over twice in that Nationals-Mets series, and the Nationals cost me twice because it should have gone, like, the Mets got 6 and 7 runs in those games, and I didn't get enough from the Nationals to send the full game over the total. That's what I worry about here, that Milwaukee's going to have to score 9 runs. We're going to have to score 8. Maybe Washington puts up 1 to get over the total. But I probably feel more comfortable just focusing on the Brewers team total here in this one. I know they got shut out by the Pirates and the great rookie who's going to be starting the All-Star game for the National League, Paul Skeens. But I think I like this spot off a shutout against an elite pitcher, bounce back, over 4.5 team total for the Brewers, I think would be the way I would bet this game here tonight. All right, let's continue along here. We've got, speaking of the Pirates, I believe they're next up on our radar. Yes, they are. Pittsburgh Pirates, Chicago White Sox. Garrett Crochet for the White Sox. Looks like it's going to be Marco Gonzalez, the lefty for the Pirates, although it's not been confirmed yet. White Sox here currently. Again, this is pretty nuts. Pretty wild. The White Sox are minus 175 favorites. I mean, I know that the betting markets, and even I, like Garrett Crochet quite a bit, and he's had a very solid season for the White Sox. No question about that. But that doesn't mean we have to run out there like fucking idiots and lay minus 175 with this 27-68 team. I mean, that's just, to me, asking a lot here. And like I said, I like Crochet. How can you not? He's pitched great. But you know what Crochet has, what the White Sox record in Crochet's last 4 starts is? Even though he's pitched great, and he pitched great in all 4 of those games. 3 runs allowed to the Astros in 6 innings, shut out the Dodgers in 5.2 innings, 2 runs, 7 innings against the Rockies, 2 runs, 4 innings against Miami. You know what the record, though? So you look at all those results for Crochet, the lefty for the White Sox, and you think, wow, pitched great. They must have won, right? They went 0-4 in those games. That's right, 0-4 for the Chicago White Sox in Garrett Crochet's last 4 starts. I'm taking Pittsburgh here, and I don't care who's on the mound. This is now at the point where this is lunacy a little bit, that we're talking about the White Sox in this kind of price range. And I like Crochet as much as anybody. He's pitched well. But what's it gotten him? It's gotten him 4 straight losses with him on the mound. 4 straight team losses for the Chicago White Sox with Garrett Crochet on the mound. So, you got to take a shot with Pittsburgh here. It's that simple. I mean, it's just, this is an overpriced favorite. We like Crochet, but this is a team that's 17-31 in their own ballpark this year, and they are laying this kind of a price. I don't care who it is for Pittsburgh. Marco Gonzalez, it's probably going to be a lot of relievers having a pitch for the Pirates tonight. I by default, I just have to take a shot with Pittsburgh here at this plus price. You can get as high as plus 156 right now, plus 160 even in some spots with the Pirates tonight. You just can't lay a price like this, in my opinion, with the Chicago White Sox. All right, Texas and Houston. Andrew Heaney, Hunter Brown, the pitching matchup. Houston minus 140, home favorites, 8 the total. Battle of Texas. I think we see runs in this game. The only concern is Hunter Brown, when he's on, he can dominate and he can shut you down. There's absolutely no question about that. But Hunter Brown has been wildly erratic this year for the Houston Astros and inconsistent. He had a terrible start to the year. It looked like he had really gotten things back on track, dominant in 4 straight starts for the Astros prior to his last outing against Minnesota, where he got absolutely annihilated. 7 runs, 12 hits, 6 innings allowed to the Twins in that game. We'll see how he fares here against Texas. He faced them now, but this was back when he was getting absolutely rocked, absolutely shit-kicked early in the season. But still, against Texas, he got roughed up, 5 runs, 8 hits, 3 innings back in April against this Rangers team. Didn't pitch great against them last year either, July the 1st. He gave up 3 runs, 10 hits, 4 innings. He labored to 91 pitches through 4 innings. So could he bounce back and look like the dominant Hunter Brown of the 4 starts before that blow-up against Minnesota? Yes, possibly, but not the greatest track record against Texas. They've seen him a lot, being division rivals. I don't think he'll be that bad like he was against Minnesota, but I don't think he's going to shut them down. I think he can give up 3 runs, 4 runs. Meanwhile, you look on the other side, and Andrew Heaney for the Texas Rangers, I'm not buying what he's selling, to be honest with you, and we know this Astros team can hit lefties. That is something worth noting going into this matchup. I know he's pitched solid here these last several starts here for the Rangers, but I think long term, yeah, I'd say he's not a guy I trust to completely shut you down. Um, and I think the Astros, if you start to look at what they've done offensively here of late, we knew early in the season when they were struggling to hit the baseball, we said, eventually this team's going to get things rocking and rolling. And they are starting to get things rocking and rolling, make no mistake about it. And I think they could continue here into this game tonight. So I like the over here, over 8 with the Rangers and the Astros. Nothing on the side for me. I would lean Houston, but Brown's just been a little too erratic to want to lay minus 145 with him in this game. All right, we roll along on this Friday night MLB card. Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals, Kyle Hendricks and Sonny Gray on the mound. St. Louis minus 190, home favorites, 8 the total in this game. Take your pick in this game, whether it's Cardinals team total over, full game over, whatever it is. You got to find some way to fade Kyle Hendricks, I believe. I think he's terrible. I think he's absolutely awful, and especially when you get him outside of Wrigley Field. When he pitches at Wrigley Field, he can be somewhat serviceable, but when you get him outside of Wrigley Field, and this has been his whole career, Kyle Hendricks has not been good away from Chicago. And even his Wrigley Field numbers aren't that good this year. He has a 7.53 ERA, 6.37 ERA at home in Chicago. On the road, a 8.55 ERA for Kyle Hendricks this year. So St. Louis probably can do some damage here. Now, he's actually pitched St. Louis pretty well in the past, but this year's been a dreadful year for Kyle Hendricks. You got to believe St. Louis can do some damage. And if you actually look at the Cardinals here, last 6 games, they've scored 7, 6, 8, 6, 4, and 5. They have scored minimum 4 runs in 6 straight games. They've trended 5-1 to the over in those games. I think they can do some damage here against Hendricks in this game. Meanwhile, Sonny Gray for the St. Louis Cardinals, he's kind of fallen back down to earth. And I know for a long time, a lot of good baseball people I know that bet this sport, they said, I know Sonny Gray's numbers look great. I know he's looking like he's lights out every time. Regression's going to hit this guy at some point. And maybe the last 2 starts for him are signs of that, because he's given up 11 runs on 15 hits in just 9.1 innings in his last 2 starts against Washington and Cincinnati. So it's been brutal for him these last two starts, and 4 straight Sonny Gray starts have gone over the total. So I think this is one of those games where I'm going to be looking to split this up between St. Louis team total over 4.5 and also the full game over 8 minus 115 here at Busch Stadium tonight. Let me see if the wind's blowing out. It is. It's not a strong wind, but it is an outward direction wind that is blowing tonight at Busch Stadium for this game. So, yeah, Cardinals team total over and full game over 8. I like both of those here in this Cubs-Cardinals game tonight. All right, we've got the Seattle Mariners and the LA Angels. Brian Wu for the Mariners. Tyler Anderson, the lefty, for the Angels. We've got Seattle minus 140 road favorites, 8 being the total here in this game. Brian Wu on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. Of course, we have talked about his level of play in the past on this show and how he's been, for the most part, I would say pretty solid here for Seattle. You look at his numbers, 1.77 ERA, 28 strikeouts to just 3 walks. I mean, he's been tremendous, impeccable control right here for Brian Wu. I think Seattle minus 140 is probably the way I would go in this game. I mean, they just destroyed the Angels last night, 12-0, and I recommended the over in that game on the show yesterday. Seattle did all the work for me, 11-0, I should say, last night with that win against the Angels. They've owned the Angels 9-1 in the last 10 head-to-head meetings for Seattle over the Angels. Brian Wu's probably the better pitcher here. Seattle's the better team. Seattle's won 3 in a row. So they're starting to play some better baseball. 9 games above 500. I know Tyler Anderson here for the Angels. He's still getting a decent amount of respect. He was dominant last start against the Cubs. I won't take that away from him. But before that, he did labor against Detroit and Oakland in a couple of starts. We'll see how he fares here against Seattle. He's faced them once last year, 2 runs, 2 hits, 5 innings. Seattle did win that game. I think I would look at Seattle here in this game. to get the job done. Minus 140. Could even add a little Seattle first 5 run line, minus a half, and split it up with maybe a minus a half first 5 run line and a Seattle full game money line. I might look in those two directions here with this game, but certainly would give an advantage to Brian Wu. Brian Wu, to me, is someone that he's bet on or pass for me at this point in time with what we have seen from him. And I know we had that one start against Cleveland where he was roughed up a little bit, but we saw him bounce back after that. And like I said, I think you're going to see Brian Wu continue to pitch pretty solidly. And by the way, another thing about Brian Wu, he has given up a grand total of 2 runs. All right, 2 runs in 3 starts against the Angels, and that's a span of 17.2 innings. He's given up 2 runs against this Angels team, so he's dominated this lineup in the past. All right, we just have a few games left. Next up here, we've got Atlanta and San Diego. Spencer Schwellenbach for the Braves. Randy Vasquez here for the Padres. We've got Atlanta minus 120, minus 125 road favorites, 8.5 the total here in this game. Going to be interesting to see how Schwellenbach performs because he's been more good than bad. He certainly was great last start. He definitely has some potential and some high ceiling here because you look at the Phillies lineup, which is very dangerous, and he kept them to just 1 run in 6 innings. A very solid performance there. We'll see if he can keep the ball rolling here against San Diego. San Diego, this lineup, it's hard to fathom. I mean, they look like they were mashing the ball against Texas and Arizona, and then all of a sudden, the last 3 games, they score 4 runs combined. I mean, it's just you just cannot. You don't know what you're going to get from this lineup. They could score 9, they can get shut out. That's what you can get from San Diego. Vasquez has actually pitched a little bit better the last 3 starts. We'll see how he fares here in this game against Atlanta. I would still lean to the Braves here. You know, the Braves are coming off 2 straight losses against Arizona, a shutout loss to the Diamondbacks last night. Good bounce back spot for them. Schwellenbach's numbers are solid. I think he's still a little bit of a better pitcher than Randy Vasquez. You're going to see probably some of the Padre bullpen as well after that. So I would lean Atlanta here a little bit, minus 115 to minus 120 in this game against the Padres. All right, we roll along. We've got just 2 games left. Next up, Toronto Blue Jays, Arizona Diamondbacks. Yariel Rodriguez for Toronto and Ryan Nelson here for Arizona. Diamondbacks minus 125 home favorites, 9 the total in this game. Yariel Rodriguez, the Cuban pitcher for Toronto, who has actually bounced back after, he had a up and down April. He had 1 start against Cleveland where he got absolutely mangled, so they shut him down for a bit. Brought him back July 1st, Canada Day against Houston. Pitched great. 1 run, 6.2 innings. Pitched again 5 days later against Seattle, which was 6 days ago. Pitched great again. No earned runs allowed, just 1 hit, shutout baseball in 6 innings against Seattle. So a totally different Yariel Rodriguez here for Toronto in the last 2 starts. So he's not a guy I really want to go against with his current form right now. Meanwhile, you've got Ryan Nelson for Arizona. He's someone that's had a very much an up and down season. 5.08 ERA overall, 3.83 on the road, 6.69 ERA here at Chase Field in his home ballpark. So he's really had a tough time pitching here in Arizona. You look at his last start in Arizona, he gave up 6 runs, 3.2 innings against Minnesota, got blasted in that game. He did pitch well against the White Sox here, but more often than not, he's had a tough time in this ballpark. That would concern me here a little bit about Ryan Nelson. I think maybe Toronto, you could look at them here as a small road underdog in this game. They've won back-to-back series on this road trip. They took 2 or 3 from Seattle, 2 or 3 from San Francisco. They actually might be worth a look. Yariel Rodriguez has been in good form, and one thing we know about Ryan Nelson is he's been pretty bad here at home for the most part this season. The numbers just not great at all. And you go back even further to Ryan Nelson's individual game log. He gave up 5 runs in 2.2 innings to the Yankees at home. He gave up 4 runs, 8 hits, 5 innings to San Diego at home, 8 runs, 11 hits to Detroit at home. He did finally pitch well against San Francisco and the White Sox at home, but then back to struggling against Minnesota. We've seen Toronto start to show a little bit of life offensively. They've scored 5 or more runs for their last 5 games. So I think maybe taking a small shot here with Toronto. And if you're going to take Toronto, you have to minimum split this bet up between first five and full game. If not, just go first five, because the Blue Jays bullpen still very much a scary proposition with how bad they have been this year. So, but at least in the first five, I think Toronto might be worthy of a look here in this game. All right, next up is the final game of this Friday slate. Minnesota, San Francisco, Twins and Giants. Joe Ryan for Minnesota, Kyle Harrison for San Francisco. Minnesota minus 145, road favorites, 7.5 the total. You would think it's going to be a pretty good matchup for the Twins, who are obviously offensively in a pretty good role right now. Really good. 12, 12, 9, 3, 8, 1, 3 in their last 7 games. They've been really hitting the ball well. The one thing the Twins do very well is hit lefties. There is no denying that whatsoever. The Twins have been an awesome team against left-handed pitching. Just in the last 10 games alone, they're averaging 278 as a team. Batting average with 6.9 runs per game against lefties. Could be some trouble tonight for Kyle Harrison, the lefty for the San Francisco Giants. You look at what they've done. They've got the absolute number one OPS numbers against left-handed pitching this year, the Minnesota Twins. So that could be obviously some trouble for San Francisco. Their bullpen, San Francisco, isn't great either. It's struggled for the most part. So this should be a game where Minnesota can get their runs here against the San Francisco Giants. The question becomes, what do you get from Joe Ryan? Joe Ryan has given up, 9 runs in his last 16 innings. Not great, not terrible. Can San Francisco scratch across a couple of runs against him here? We'll have to wait and see. 3.29 ERA. We'll see if he can. I'm on Minnesota minus 140, full game money line. I'm on Minnesota team total here, over 4.5, at a slight plus price, because I think they can score here. They just mash left-handed pitching. And I think I like this full game over as well, 7.5. And again, I cashed a ticket with a 7.5 total going over yesterday with the San Francisco Giants against Toronto. We needed a 9th inning home run to get there from Yastrzemski, but we still cashed a ticket with that. Total a little bit light here, in my opinion, because I think Minnesota is going to do some damage. So I'd probably go a little on all three in this game. A little Twins money line, a little Twins team total over 4.5 at plus money, and a little over 7.5 with the full game total as well when it comes to the Twins and the Giants. All right, there you go. That is the show, and that is the Friday MLB card. Again, if you're interested in my CFL analysis, make sure you watch Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy right here on this channel. I recorded it a couple days ago. We went through the whole Week 6 card. So if you want my opinions on CFL for tonight and the rest of the weekend, make sure you tune into that. And one more reminder before I get to Best Bet to wrap up the show, get involved with that 6 months all sports discount. You won't be disappointed. $250 for 6 months all sports. It's a great offer. Take advantage of it. dubclub.win/r/Bobano. And again, it'll take you all the way into January, and you'll pretty much have the entire NFL regular season and college football season covered in that subscription. So, and it'll include the season win totals and futures betting report for NFL and college football as well. All right, let's go to best bets here. I'm going to go to that Cubs-Cardinals game. Sonny Gray's regressing. Last 2 starts have been rough for him. You look at the Cubs, they did start to swing the bats a little against Baltimore. And then Hendricks has just been a disaster. And the total's only 8 in this game. I think it's very light. I think it goes over that number. Let's go with the Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals, over 8, minus 115 for my best bet. I almost went with that Minnesota-San Francisco over as well as best bet, but I like this one here. Cubs, Cardinals, over 8, minus 115. That is going to be my best bet here for this Friday MLB card in this edition of Bet with Bobano. Shout out to everyone tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Thanks for tuning in as always. Monday to Friday, this show, the live shows being at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for tuning in. First full week of the weekday expansion, if you will, of this show. And it was fun to be now in the rhythm of doing this show 5 days a week. Looking forward to it. Monday, we'll be back with a live show. We'll do a little home run derby and all-star game preview for the Major League Baseball festivities for All-Star break. And we will do some football previews, NFL and college football with Connor Mack on Monday's live edition of the show at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy the games and good luck. Bet like Tony Soprano. Bet with Bobano. And we'll see you again on Monday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.